I am not at all a good cook, but I do take pride into baking bread the old-fashioned way in a very heavy camp oven. There it is, probably 15 kilos. Ingredients: hardwood, camp oven, butter or oil, flour, yeast, salt, honey, then the billy, a bowl, a spoon, a cup and a bucket to mix the flour and of course water. Build a tripod. If you don't know how to do that, I made a short about it. Light a fire and put some water on to boil. Now the type of wood that you need to use to make a camp oven bread is quite important. You need hard, old wood. In New Zealand we used to go to the riverbed and find old logs that were dried by the wind. Here in Europe we use beech or oak wood. This stick that I just gathered from the forest is pretty useless. It's been on the ground for a long time, it's rotten, we call this like paper wood. This on the other hand is a heavy piece of log. You can feel it straight away, it's heavy. And this will burn for a long time and this is what we need to create coals. Baking camp oven bread takes a lot of time. It would take all morning, but we don't care, we have plenty of time. And all of these so-called chores are quite enjoyable if you have time. While waiting for the wood to turn into hot embers, we will make the flour mix. So grab a clean bucket and get a whole, I usually take a whole mix of flour. So I've got here white flour, just white. And I don't measure much usually. Measuring is overrated, but let's say for the video's sake, 3 cups of white. There we go, that's white. Now I've got a little bit of rye flour. So the more variety the better in my opinion. So I do 3 cups of rye flour. 2 and 3. A little bit less or more doesn't matter at all. And I've got a little bit of corn flour as well. So do that as well. And I've added a few oats and a few chia seeds. And just a little bit of salt, not too much. My water is boiling. So I'll pour a little bit in a bowl. Just for the honey to melt. Here's 1 spoon of honey. This is the food for the yeast, because that's what we're going to make now. You have to create a temperature for the yeast that is exactly like blood temperature. In other words, it should feel lukewarm. Then you put in 1 big spoon of yeast, or even a bit more if you have. Make sure it's under the water. And I'll add a little bit more for good measure. While waiting for the yeast, heat up the camp oven briefly. And with oil or butter, you make sure that everything is nicely oiled. Including the lid, of course. Look at this nice fluffed up yeast. That is what it should look like, and this is the time when you put this into your flour buckets. And now we're adding the yeast. Don't kill the yeast with super hot water, but mix it again to make it just warm enough. And you mix the whole lot until you can't see any sort of loose flour. And it's nice, sort of this consistency. It reminds me of cement actually. Now you transfer this dough to the camp oven. And then it looks like this. Put a lid on the camp oven and place the camp oven next to the fire so keep it nice and warm. Keep turning it around, keep an eye on it whether the bread is risen to the top. And let's have a look. Yes, that is almost risen to the top and ready to bake. I'm just going to make a little spot in the middle for the camp oven to sit and then put the embers on top. See, this whole log has turned into good embers. Select the embers a little bit. This is a tricky job. So I'll make this spot in the middle and I'm going to collect the embers to put right on the top. And you just have to try out with all of this. You can't really fail. It's not a exam or a competition. try out, see how it goes, see what wood you can collect. And I'll put the hot sticks around it, a little extra heat. And after that we just wait. And check the bread every 20 minutes or so, a bit more towards the end. And let's have a look at the bread. Yes, looks good to me. Time to get it out. Look at that. Beautiful bread. And we got it in just before the rain. It is delicious.